of the period of the film, but there's lots of references to different periods. And you have to create a character that isn't time specific, whether it's the costume or the place. And I mean, just the issue of time is so interesting in this film. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of working with the director, Christian Kallen, to think about who this character was and where he was in time and space.
Yeah, I think the first thing I told Christian when we decided to do this movie together was that I cannot play a refugee, because I don't know how a refugee feels. My life and experiences that I have really nothing in common with someone that lost his roots and lost his home. So, yeah, we were on the same page. He also said he agreed that it's not possible, and it would be wrong if we would pretend that we know and now we show the world how tough it is to be a refugee. Actually, what Christian is very curious about over the past 30 years, he has been working on the theme of being a ghost. He loves figures lost in time, that cannot really rest or settle down because they lost their roots. They have no place they really belong to. And I think that's something that refers also to being a refugee, and it refers also to being a drifter, and also to the aspect of this coming of age story, which is also in this movie. So I think, we decided to put a ghost in this movie. So we don't have to play neither the one time nor the other.
And I think one of the things that's so interesting is we actually are experiencing that world through the eyes of the ghost, right? Everything is filtered through your character. And so much of the film rests on us experiencing what's happening through your character. I wanted to...
all rests on my shoulders.
Yes, and you do an amazing job. That's why the film is so successful. I wanted to talk a little bit again about this question of time, because it's not a traditional kind of narrative drive where we go from one moment to the next and we're building up and there's a climax, but there's something very circular about it, about the narrative, and it keeps turning back and we're not sure exactly what's happening next or what the past references are. And I was wondering about shooting it, like what the script was, and did you shoot in order or did it even matter? And how much of it was kind of, were you aware of like where you were in the narrative of the film when you were shooting?
Yeah, I was aware. I think we shot more or less chronologically,
Okay.
But I mean, the fact that we combined these two flights, these two movements from the 30s, based on German and European history, and today's Marseille, that is on the edge of Europe and dealing with immigration every day. I think that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do the project. The fact that Christian doesn't comment on it, that he doesn't use it to show how smart he is, but that he just let these two realities coexist and create a space where you can find your own perspective on that.
Right, and I think that's the intelligence of it, is that...
Yeah, he's a very, very smart guy. He's actually a walking encyclopedia of cinema. He has a quote for every kind of situation. Also, when you need help as an actor, he can give you a book, a sentence, a quote, a movie, and some studies about whatever it is. And that has been very helpful also in the preparation.
I was going to ask about working with him, but you just answered that. The film is based on a novel, but that has the very specific time period of the 30s and wartime Europe. But I was wondering about, did you read the novel, kind of what your connection to that was when you were preparing for the film?
I had to read it. That was part of the preparation. I'm not much of a reader. I love to read, I love books, but somehow, I don't know, I get distracted after a couple of pages, and then the book is there in my room and stares at me and I feel bad. But with this particular book, I went through everything.
And the screenplay too. We'd love to hear your questions for Franz, so please raise your hand if you have any questions. Right up here.
It is not a question, it's like a comment. First of all, I love their acting, very good. But it reminds me from the first kind of scenes, the novel of the German writer Erich Maria Remarque, Flotsam. It is almost the same. You said you are not a big reader, but if you read this one, it would help you with your acting, though you are already well done. But what I want to say that the similarity is great because at Erich Maria Remarque's novel, the main character is also very generous. So I missed who was the writer of this book.
The writer of this book is called Anna Segers. Anna Segers. Yeah, and I think she was actually living in Marseille at the time, and it's kind of autobiographical, but on the other hand, it's weird though, because when you read the book, it's pretty macho. Like you feel that a man wrote it, a man's world somehow, about a drifter not really caring about his girls that he meets. He meets many more girls in the book than in the movie. It's not just one girl, and it was interesting actually to see how this woman, I felt like she took the point of view from a man and intensified it to actually emancipate. Can you say that? She like emancipated herself. She was one of the first writers in that time that was successful.
So other questions?
Yeah, with all of the refugees coming into Europe and with the rise in populism, how did the current political climate in Europe affect your filming or affect your set production?
Did everybody hear the question? It's about how the current political climate in Europe and the influx of refugees had affected the set when they were making the film. Was it part of your regular conversations, or?
No, it was not. I mean, again, I have to say that I live in a bubble. I do art. I'm an actor. I live in Berlin. Last week I was in New York. I do art house movies. It's culture, money. I live in an apartment that belongs to my parents. So I'm very protected. I'm a very protected person that does culture because I don't have to fight for my existence. And if I'm honest, the reason why I did that movie is because I believe in the artistic strength of this director, and I believe in the form that he finds. But of course, I also believe that the coexistence of these two times create a space in which a German, but also a human being in general, can find him or herself maybe also in the situation of being a refugee. But yeah, I think that I can tell you that me reading scripts, 8 of 10 scripts have a refugee inside. And it's kind of, fake. They all use the theme because now we are talking about refugees. Maybe the next thing will be, I don't know, handicapped, and then it's again, we always need these themes, but if I'm honest with you, I wanted to do that movie because I believe Christian's art is relevant to the world of cinema. And the political dimension is one that I feel like I cannot escape it, whether I do the movie or not. So that is something that I try to do on a daily basis.
Other questions? I can't see, so if you have one, just shout it out. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of this idea of the shifting identities that, we don't really know who anybody is, right? Because part of it is that you're hiding your identity, the character Gary's hiding his identity, and just kind of thinking about managing kind of the shifting identities through time in the film, in terms of interacting with the other characters. Was that part of the conversation too?
Yeah, I think that this movie is also a coming of age movie, and you start with Georg being a drifter, being someone that doesn't really leaves a lot. Like there's no job, there's no home. There might be a mother, but he didn't really set roots, and he's kind of free to go wherever he wants. He's not really scared. He is a refugee, and you can see it that he is. It's tough. I mean, he doesn't sleep so much, so he doesn't know where to go. But he's not like totally busy with war, and he's not totally destroyed emotionally. He's just a drifter. And the big change in his life, I think, is that he starts caring about people, because he learned not to care. He learned just to be on his way, and then he meets this woman with a child, and he already feels the potential of what it could do to his life to love and to take care of someone. And then, of course, with Marie, he discovers the love and also what love can do to you. Yeah.
Almost an impossible love.
Yeah. I mean, love is almost always impossible. It's always possible at the same time.
Right.
I have a question.
Okay, please ask it.
How long have you been making movies, and what kind you say that you do all sorts of different kind of movies, different topics?
So the question is, how long have you been making films, and kind of what's the range of genres and topics of films that you've acted in?
The genres, I mean, I do every genre. There's no limitation. So far, I've done mostly European art house movies. Maybe you've seen Victoria from Sebastian Schipper, or you have seen, I don't know, Happy End from Michael Haneke. Yeah, I try to choose my work in terms of, I don't know, I ask myself, am I able to play this role, and do I want to see this movie myself when I go to the cinema? So, yeah, I've been doing this for about 7 years now. Before that, I was a performer and a dancer in theater. Then I started doing movies, then I went back to the theater as an actor, and now I'm doing everything.
But you're great.
Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.